Night winds swept across Naval Station Everett like a cold blade, carrying the sting of December with them. Floodlights washed over the concrete, painting long shadows between barracks, hangars, and the massive steel silhouettes of destroyers sleeping along the pier. Christmas Eve on base was usually quiet. Half the personnel gone, half on duty, and the rest pretending the holiday didn't hurt as much as it really did. But that year, it would be the night a truth resurfaced. A truth the military had quietly buried. A truth wrapped in an old patch that only one Navy SEAL still remembered. A woman no one recognized. A coat torn from the cold. A face hardened by loss, fatigue, and something darker, betrayal. They called her homeless. He called her something else. The military police officer on duty that night, Corporal Jenna Torres, was bored enough to start humming Christmas songs to herself. At 22:03 hours, a figure appeared in the distance, slowly approaching the main entry checkpoint. A woman limping wrapped in an oversized, dirt-stained coat carrying a canvas duffel that had clearly lived far longer than it was designed to. Her hair was knotted and wind-whipped. Her face was ghost-pale. Her voice, when she spoke, was hoarse. "Ma'am," Torres said carefully, hand hovering near her holster, "this is restricted access. Do you have identification?" The woman blinked slowly, as though weighing whether she had the energy to answer. "I used to," she murmured. "Not anymore. But I need to get inside. Someone needs to know something. Are you in danger?" Torres asked. The woman didn't respond. She just lowered her duffel onto the cold concrete and began to unzip it. Immediately, 2 MPs at the side booth drew closer, alert. But instead of a weapon, she pulled out a folded piece of cloth. Old, worn, but unmistakably military issue. It was a torn sleeve from a Navy uniform, still carrying an embroidered unit patch. A patch with a date burned into the memory of the few who knew what had happened that night. December 24th, 2014. Operation Wintergate Special Recon Task Element 7. Corporal Torres frowned. "What is that?" The woman looked up, eyes hollow. "A warning," she whispered. Across the base, 1.1 miles away inside the cold blue glow of the Tactical Operations Center, Lieutenant Ryan Keller was finishing paperwork he had spent all year avoiding. He was the kind of operator who preferred action over admin. Angular jaw, wind-burned features, posture permanently tightened from years of overseas operations. He'd been with SEAL Team 10 for 7 years. Reliable, quiet, sharp when it mattered. This wasn't his home. Base never felt like home. But tonight, he intended to leave early and visit his brother's family for midnight dinner. He never made it out the door. "Lieutenant Keller?" An MP poked his head inside. "Sir, you're requested at main gate." "Why?" Keller asked, annoyed. "There's a woman asking for someone from Special Recon Task Element 7. Keller froze. That unit wasn't supposed to exist anymore. It had been scrubbed from official records after what happened on Christmas Eve 2014. Did she say a name?" Keller pressed. "No, sir. But she's carrying a torn uniform sleeve with the winter gate patch." Keller dropped the pen. His heartbeat thudded once. Hard, hollow, disbelieving. That patch belonged to only 13 people. 12 were confirmed dead. Except maybe one. He grabbed his jacket and sprinted out the door. By the time Keller reached the gate, 4 MPs had circled the woman. Searchlights framed her like an interrogation. But Keller saw the face beneath the grime. Even after a decade, he recognized her. "Maya?" he whispered. The MPs turned, confused. The woman's head lifted. Recognition flickered. A fragile flame in a world that had gone dark on her. "Hello, Keller." Everything inside him collapsed. She wasn't homeless. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't trespassing. She was Lieutenant Maya Jensen, one of the most promising intel officers the Pacific Fleet had ever produced. Declared dead in 2014, killed in action. Body unrecovered. He stepped toward her slowly. Everyone thought, "We thought you were dead." "I was supposed to be," she replied. The MPs exchanged troubled glances. Keller swallowed hard. "Maya, what happened to you?" She held up the torn sleeve. "Everything they didn't want anyone to know," she whispered. "And it's happening again." Keller ordered the MPs to let her through. It took his authority as the ranking SEAL on site, but he didn't care. Something in Maya's expression told him she hadn't come for herself. She came because something was about to break. Inside the small admin building near the gate, under fluorescent lights and the smell of old heating vents, Maya finally sat down. Her hands trembled from exhaustion, cold, or something deeper. Keller offered her hot water. She refused. He tried again. Maya. Where have you been for 10 years? Her eyes drifted. Not where you think. Her voice cracked. She steadied it with an almost military discipline. They locked me away, Keller. Our own people. Off books. No trial. No record. I spent 10 years in a black site because I refused to falsify intel for the Wintergate after-action report. Keller felt his lungs tighten. He had been there that night. He had buried teammates. He had never understood why the official report felt so edited. What were they hiding? He asked. She leaned forward. That an admiral authorized an illegal extraction op of a foreign national that went sideways. They blamed the deaths on our team to hide his mistake. Keller felt sick. Who? He demanded. Maya shook her head. Saying his name is enough to get you disappeared like I was. But he's back, and he's preparing another off-books op. Tonight. Keller stiffened. What's the target? She clenched her jaw. That's why I came. I don't know the target. I only know the patch. He's using the same unit designation again, Special Recon Task Element 7, and the last time he reused an old unit name, more people died. Keller looked at her duffel, still lying by the door. What's inside the bag, Maya? Proof, she whispered. Maya unzipped the duffel and pulled out several items. Old intel documents, satellite photos, encrypted tablets, a torn patch, the same Wintergate insignia Keller once wore. She held it up to the light. You remember what this meant, she said softly. Keller swallowed. Every operator in that unit had been given one patch, worn only during that one classified mission. The patch symbol, a frozen gate with a single star above it, represented entry into hostile winter territory under darkness, but only 13 patches were ever made. Only 13 people were ever assigned that call sign. Maya pointed at the stitching. This one isn't from 2014, it's new. The Admiral had more made, meaning he has a new team, meaning another off-books operation is happening tonight. Keller felt his training kick in. That cold clarity operators rely on, and you escaped, he murmured, to stop it. She nodded. I wasn't supposed to get out. Someone on the inside helped me. Died doing it. Keller stared at her, at the weight of 10 years carved into her bones. You're freezing, he said. You need a medic. No medics, she said quickly. No system logs, no records, not until I tell you everything. Her voice shook, not from fear, but urgency. Keller, this isn't about revenge. This is about preventing another Wintergate. More lives will vanish tonight if we don't act. Keller escorted her to a secure meeting room deeper inside the base. He asked the overnight duty officer, Captain Alvarez, to step in. Alvarez, older and composed, recognized Keller's tone, the one operators used only when things were bad. When Maya told him her name, Alvarez nearly dropped his clipboard. You can't be... We were told you died in a helicopter fire. Yes, Maya replied flatly, because that's what the Admiral wrote in my file. She explained everything. She was detained after questioning the false report. She refused to alter mission intel. She was transferred to a black site in Nevada. Her family was told she died. Her file was marked classified casualty, internal containment. She was beaten, interrogated, isolated, and then forgotten. Alvarez rubbed his temples. This is treason, he muttered. If this is true, the Admiral, Maya cut in. He's on base tonight. Keller stiffened. What? He's overseeing the off-books team personally. They're leaving from Pier 3 within the hour. Cargo container marked with the same Wintergate insignia. Keller shot Alvarez a look. You put a watch on that pier. Quietly, Alvarez nodded and stepped out. Keller turned back to Maya. Why now? Why did he need a new covert team tonight? She slid one last photo across the table, grainy, zoomed from satellite feed. A man entering a building, a man they had once rescued, a man the U.S. should never have worked with again. Keller whispered, No, he wouldn't. He is, Maya said. He's extracting the same asset from 10 years ago. The one who got half our team killed, and he's doing it without authorization. Keller felt something inside him ignite. Anger, grief, duty. No, he said. Not again. They moved fast. Alvarez returned within minutes. Pier 3 is active, he said. Small team in unmarked gear. Cargo container just got loaded on a covert RIB. No manifest, no clearance. Keller nodded. Then Maya stood, slowly, painfully, but with purpose. I have to go with you. Keller stepped toward her. You can barely stand. I survived 10 years for this, she snapped. You need my intel. He saw the fire in her eyes. Not madness, not desperation, but righteous defiance. The same defiance she had shown the night she refused to falsify that report. He nodded. Then we move. The pier was wrapped in fog, floodlights glowing like halos through mist. The water slapped softly against the hulls of docked vessels. At the far end, a group of 6 operators boarded a black RIB boat. And there, overseeing everything, stood Admiral Richard Hale, tall, cold, untouchable, a man who wore power like armor. Keller and Alvarez approached with Maya between them. Hale spotted them. His expression sharpened. Keller. Captain Alvarez. Why are you interfering with a classified transfer? Maya stepped forward into the light. Her coat fell away. Her face cleared the shadows. Hale's eyes widened, not with shock, but with annoyance. Well, he said calmly, looks like the desert lost a prisoner. Keller's hand went to his sidearm. You kept a Navy lieutenant imprisoned for 10 years, Keller growled. Hale shrugged lightly. She was a threat to national security. No, Maya said, voice shaking with rage. I was a threat to your career. Hale's jaw clenched. You were supposed to stay dead, Lieutenant Jensen. Hale turned to the operators on the RIB. Proceed with the mission. Now. None moved, because Keller was standing in their path, and SEALs recognize truth in a man's eyes. This mission is illegal, Keller said. Stand down, Hale barked. That's an order. Keller didn't look away. With respect, sir, no it's not, because this isn't a mission. This is a cover-up. Again. Hale's face hardened into something uglier. He pulled a suppressed pistol from beneath his coat. Maya, Keller warned. But Hale aimed at Keller. You should have stayed uninvolved, Lieutenant. And then, one shot. Not fired from Hale's weapon, from Alvarez. The Admiral collapsed, pistol skidding across the pier. The fog swallowed the echo. Keller stared at Alvarez, stunned. He was going to kill you both, Alvarez said, breathing hard. I'm not letting another Wintergate happen. The operators on the RIB stood frozen. Maya stepped forward and picked up Hale's fallen sidearm. She looked at it for a moment. Then she tossed it into the ocean. Keller stood beside her. It's over, Maya. Not yet, she whispered. But this time people will hear the truth. Hale survived the gunshot, and he talked. Facing charges of unlawful detainment, falsifying military records, illegal covert operations, abuse of authority, attempted murder, Maya's testimony, along with Keller's and Alvarez's, brought the truth to light. It took months of legal struggle, closed-door hearings, and classified briefings, but the truth eventually won. Maya Jensen was reinstated, medically retired with full honors. 10 years erased from history, replaced with recognition of her courage. Keller visited her often during recovery. One quiet evening, months later, she asked him, "Why did you believe me?" Keller shrugged lightly. "Because only 12 people ever wore that patch," he said, "and only one disappeared without a trace." She smiled softly. "And because you always trusted me." Keller looked at her, older, scarred, but unbroken. "I trusted you then. I trust you now." Snow drifted across the base as Keller walked along the pier. It had been a long year. Investigations, promotions, reprimands, healing. At the end of the pier, Maya stood waiting, hands shoved in a warm jacket this time. "You're early," she said. "So are you." She lifted a small box. Inside was a newly made patch, the Wintergate insignia, not a symbol of tragedy anymore, but of survival. "Thought you might want one that isn't torn," she said. Keller took it gently. "What are you going to do now?" he asked. She looked out at the water. "Live," she said simply. "Finally." Keller nodded. "Good. They stood there in silence as the snow thickened, blanketing the base in white. Maya whispered, "Funny how a single patch nearly destroyed everything, and then saved it." Keller smiled. "No, you saved it. Truth may be buried, silenced, or locked away, but it does not die." Real courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to stand against power when everyone else stays silent. And sometimes the smallest symbol, a patch, a memory, a promise, is enough to remind us who we are and who we must never become.